And, we're learning how to work with each other better because salespeople, project managers, salespeople, and office people, sometimes they don't collide well. And when tensions get high, the only people that lose are the customers.
All right, what's up, everyone? I'm pumped to be here with my good buddy, Benny Fisher of the Big Fish Contracting Company in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Benny is one of those guys, is one of those company owners that has really, truly built an amazing brand in their area. And they're not the biggest company in the region or the area by any means. They're getting there though, but they have such a strong brand, and they're doing a lot of great things that we always talk about here at Contractor Dynamics, and we train our clients on what to do. And these guys are operating at a high level, and so I wanted to have Benny on. I'm grateful for his time. He's a busy guy, and I think you're going to learn a lot, both professionally, personally, and we'll have some fun. So, what's going on, my man?
Not much, man. Thanks for having me on. I've been looking forward to this for probably since I met you live and in person for the first time back in March.
Yeah, nice. Me too. Yeah, we met down in Texas at the Sales Transformation Group event out in the middle of nowhere, and there's no rental cars to be found, which I didn't know. So thankfully, you and your team hooked me up with a ride from the airport, because I probably would have been like hitchhiking or something. So
that's that concierge service we provide for you, Joe.
There you go. Now on your website, I just read that your new website, which is sharp, thebigfishco.com. You make this claim that we are the #1 customer-focused roofing company in the country. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a good place to start. I didn't plan on starting there, but I just saw their website and I'm like, you know what? That's a great place to start.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what it's all about. I saw a big need in the roofing business for customer service. And I was always a customer service oriented type of individual. And then my uncle got me into the roofing business. So the two worlds kind of collided. And I'm like, man, I think I can make a really big impact in the city of Pittsburgh with just bringing some just strong professionalism, some technology, and making it a homeowner experience that they could be proud of. Because, in Pittsburgh, there's a lot of yinzer contractors, and it's working.
Nice. There's a lot of what type of contractors?
They call them yinzers here in Pittsburgh. It's the the stereotypical, the people that say downtown and that, and old school, guys with 3 teeth walking around with cigarettes in their mouth. And listen, some of them are great roofers. No disrespect to them, but it's the way they approach the customers. The customers are a lot more intelligent nowadays. They're doing a lot more online things, and reputation's important. And most people that are living, in a nice house and are married with kids, and they want a good, well-respected contractor to be in and around that area. And it just made sense. And here I am in the roofing business, and we're doing it every day.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So you have a marketing background, correct?
Yeah. I mean, I started out in sales, obviously, to make money. And then once I realized how marketing worked, as I got towards the end of my, professional sales career with the big corporations, and when I got into small business helping my uncle with his, I'm like, yeah, you got to have a brand. Like, you got to build it up. I was listening to a lot of Gary Vee, 5-10 years ago, and just doing things that made sense. Marketing's the fun part for me of the business. And so we started with that. And then as I got into the trenches, I kind of got away from doing the day-to-day marketing and just kind of let the job site signs and the truck wraps kind of do their thing. But now I'm getting back into it. Now I've elevated out of sales and operations and finance, and I'm really just kind of back to where my sweet spot is, and that's the marketing side of things.
Oh, that's awesome. And that took, about 6 years for you to kind of build that and get to this point?
Yeah, 6 years. And now I get to have some fun again with the business and really showcase, what our people are doing every day to kind of get the word out a little bit more to the customers. We've been relying on, word of mouth for the last 3 or 4 years. I was doing marketing heavy the first year or two to kind of build the brand. And then I kind of let our work speak for itself the last 3 or 4 years. So, and it's still overwhelmingly the majority of how we get most of our work. But yeah, that fish logo and then what that fish means. And it's so much more than just Ben Fisher now. First year we relied on Ben Fisher a lot, but now it's our whole team of people.
All right, cool. I definitely want to get into the logo and the heart and your mission and everything like that for sure. But I want to focus there for a minute because we've got a lot of people watching and listening who are like, all right, I started a roofing company on my own. Maybe I was selling roofs before. You know the drill, right?
Yeah.
I want to start my own roofing company and I want to build this thing, but I feel kind of trapped. I feel like I can't delegate and elevate, or I haven't figured that out yet, or I'm just so busy working 14 hours a day that I don't have time to build processes or to hire people or train people, or I don't know what the next steps are. And people remain stuck in their businesses forever. I think a lot of people do, or they just fail and they go back to working for, as an employee at another company because they just can't hack it anymore. Entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart, for sure. And I know there's a lot to unpack there, and I don't want to minimize that, your 6-year journey into just a couple of bullet points here. But if there are a couple of things like that have really, like maybe mindset or things that you've done that have enabled you to delegate and elevate to where you're focused on what you want to do in the company, your role as marketing and brand ambassador and visionary, could you possibly distill those into a couple bullet points?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is you got to figure out what you don't like to do and what you're not good at. And you have to get that off your plate as soon as possible. And for me, that was the accounting side of the business. That was the paperwork, the invoicing and the paying the bills and job costing and things like that. And I just found somebody to do that. And, it wasn't perfect because I didn't really have a way to train them because I wasn't really that good at it. So we just you just keep leveling up and you find new people and you see how other people are doing it and you get some ideas. And, I had the help of a really good, part-time accountant that I would work with. And then, as I leveled up past his availability for me and got a little bit busier, and he couldn't handle my work anymore, then I went to a full CPA firm and they were able to give me some ideas on how to do some of those things. And then I, was still in the sales and operations side. And, the next thing was like, I don't really like operations, but I'm good at it when I have to be because, they're our customers and I want to take good care of them. And, it's just hard for me to sit still though and make sure that all the orders are correct, make sure that all the jobs are getting scheduled. And that was the next thing that I delegated it out of. And then, it was sales, right? I was still our top sales guy for the first 4 years of the company. And finally, built a sales team and used some sales training to learn how to manage salespeople. And, one of the other big things is I hired somebody and actually to have a new business partner. He bought 25% of the company. We call him the integrator. Once I learned a little bit about how EOS worked, I know we'll get into that a little bit, and he kind of oversees the whole operation, and he's more focused on, he's like a CFO. He was a CFO when I found him, and he dropped that career and came to work at Big Fish. So he's got a lot of operational CFO experience, which is great because I'm more marketing and sales heavy. And together, we make an amazing team, and we're able to really just dive deep, in each department where we need to and use our skill sets accordingly. So it's been really, really great.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I remember you telling me about that back in the spring, about 6-7 months ago. That's cool. Yeah, that was new back then, right?
Yeah. His first day was like April 4th, started the second quarter. And so he's been here 6 months and he went through the second quarter he got here. He worked on the finance department to make sure those processes were dialed in. The third quarter, he got into the sales department because I wanted him to learn sales so he could keep an eye on it. Because managing salespeople is a whole different level of teaching the science behind sales. And I'm not really good at managing people on a day-to-day basis because, I'm always doing those visionary types things and I get these ideas in my head and I want to go start working on them. And it's hard for me to stick with, the same thing every single week. But it's very important because, as we all know, most salespeople, they're kind of like visionaries too in their own mind and they kind of go off doing their own thing. So they definitely need a little bit of managing and coaching. So he got into that department really heavy. He's got that thing up and running. We've kind of put that off. We've delegated that to Mark Kenya, our top sales guy. Now he's kind of taken over the sales department. So Rob now is, in charge of operations and he's going to go deep dive into that here in the fourth quarter and get that even better than ever. And here I am in the marketing department. I love it.
That's great, man. Congrats. That's awesome. So let's go over your team a little bit. Now you've got yourself, you've got your integrator, you've got Mark kind of heading up sales. And then what else? Who else is on your team?
So then we have a senior roofing project manager, and then he's got a couple project managers underneath him that manage all the roofing jobs. We have a siding and gutter / basically our smaller departments are siding, gutters, and service. And we have a gentleman running those departments. And then he's got a couple service techs that work for him, a couple gutter crews underneath him, a siding crew. All the roofing project managers have roofing crews that work with them. And then we have a lady that's helping us with AR and AP that kind of goes and works underneath Rob as far as like, the finance, but that's not a full-time, being a CFO at a small roofing company isn't a full-time job, right? You need that CFO for strategy, once a quarter. You need to be able to do the check-ins, on a weekly basis, but it's not a 40-hour-a-week job just being the CFO. So it's really great that Rob has that experience, but he really loves working with more people and getting down to that level where he can really, invigorate the culture here. So that's kind of at the top level. And then Mallory's our executive assistant, and she just came on, and she's really kind of helping me in the marketing department, helping Rob, with different events and things that we're planning. She attends all of our meetings and the HR stuff, which is like not all the time, right? We're not always hiring. We're not always onboarding people, but it's like that stuff that just kind of like when you need to and there's no one to do it, it's kind of a pain in the butt, right? So we're kind of dialed in on that. I'm helping with the interview process because I'm really good at talking to people and kind of sniffing out if they got the same core values as we do, and then we pass those to a second interview session where they meet with the department heads, and if they make the cut, they make the cut, and we welcome them on board.
Awesome. Yeah, that was one of the questions if you're still involved in hiring. So that makes sense.
Especially, yeah. Okay. I think up till about the first 50 employees, I think I'll be heavily involved. I think that people are the heartbeat of every organization. And, one thing that can go south really quick is if you pick up the wrong people. And I want to make sure that I always have at least the first conversation with these people to make sure that they can get to the next level, because it's been a really stressful situation over the years when I'm trying to working in all the different departments, and then I try to hire someone quickly just because we need people, and then sometimes they're not the right fit. That can really devastate an organization.
Yeah, totally. On that note, hiring people when you need to or planning ahead, like it's a delicate balance in my experience. You don't want to wait until you absolutely need someone to go out and try to find someone. So do you guys have like a formula or a process for trying to hire in advance of your need a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, now we're with ELS and the fact that we have weekly cadence meetings and we have quarterly planning sessions, we're kind of able to forecast, if operations is getting bogged down, we kind of know that we're going to need to bring an operations person on. If operations is getting slower, then we need to bring some more salespeople on, because one thing we're not short of here at the Big Fish Contracting Company are leads. And that's never been a problem. And, I'm waiting for the point where sales and operations are humming at such a high level that where we really need to work on the marketing department more, because to me, that's the fun part of the job.
Yeah, I totally agree. The way that I view business, and I know there's different ways to view growing a business, I look at it as a three-legged stool, and you have marketing, you have sales, and you have fulfillment or production. Those three things. You might say marketing, sales, operations. And my goal is to try to, as an owner, like raise all those legs of the stool at roughly the same pace. So like one is not, outgrowing the other, and the stool doesn't topple over. So that's something that I kind of think about, and I'll kind of journal about at least every week, is like how can we forecast, how can we predict, and how can we kind of raise all those areas at the same time.
Yeah, it's like the chicken or the egg. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? I remember when I first started my roofing company, it's like, who do I go out? Do I go out and find the crew first, or do I go out and find the jobs first? Either way, I have a sticky situation. If I don't have a crew and I go to the customer and sell a roof and they ask me when I can get it done, I'm like, I don't know. I got to go find a crew. Or if I go to the crew and say I don't have any customers, they're going to be like, I don't want to come work for you. So it's kind of like you just got to get in there and do it and hope that you have a really good plan to kind of meld the two together. But it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be smooth. And my best advice for people is just to power through it and don't let that be a stumbling block.
Now, you said something there that I want to highlight and unpack a little bit, because you said that leads have never been a problem for you guys. And that's awesome. For many people listening or watching this, that is a problem. And they don't have that predictability, that they know there's leads coming in, where there's marketing that's producing those leads on a consistent basis. So can you get into that a little bit? How you've gotten to that point, what you guys have done to build that pipeline and keep that pipeline full consistently?
Yeah, I mean, it starts with, it all depends on what stage of the business you're in. I mean, it really does. I mean, like what we did the first year is different than what that we're doing now. And part of that's because we built up a resume, we built up a reputation. And if you do that the right way, if you start out of the gate doing the right thing all the time, showing up on time, doing what you say you're going to do, 6 years later, the word gets out, you know what I mean? And, if you do the truck wraps, if you do the job site signs, if you do the basics to build your brand, and it's more than just, Ben Fisher Roofing Company, because that gets kind of boring, right? And then on top of that, you mix in a little bit of advertising at the same time to kind of like, I call it springboard. I'm not a big fan of a lot of advertising, because I think it's most of the advertising sometimes cheesy if it's not done well. I know a lot of outside companies don't really know how to market your business because they're not in your business. And and I've been down that road, back in my early days, because I didn't have time to like sit down and make the website or post on Facebook every day. And sometimes I'd hire a company, a national company or something, pay them $1,000 a month, and they put some generic content up and a couple generic pictures and run a couple of ads to it, but it looked like everybody else's. And listen, there's still companies doing that, and it's terrible. And I think the way you do it is, you do good work, you have a great brand, and you just keep it kind of going. And when you need a little help, throw some advertising dollars behind it to kind of boost everything up. And then you can like kind of calm down from that a little bit. Once you start getting more work, more referrals start coming in. And it's kind of a balancing act. Same balancing act there is the same balancing act between sales and operations and how you hire people. It's never going to be perfect. You're going to have some lulls. Some weeks we have, over 100 leads. Some weeks we only get 70 leads. I can't tell you why. But as long as you're not going down to a baseline of where you can't manage and make money and sell your product, you have to make decisions based on that. And as long as you're tracking everything, you got to be tracking everything. A lot of roofing companies don't know their numbers. Some roofing companies still aren't using a CRM, which is fascinating to me in this day and age, because I don't care what CRM you have. They're all, they can all be terrible, but they're all better than no CRM. I can tell you that. So got to know your numbers.
Yeah, that's huge. And one of the big points that you kind of alluded to there was that as far as brand and marketing and advertising, you've got your brand foundation. You've got the website, the logo, the truck wraps, the yard signs, and of course you're providing a great product and a great service, and people are talking about you. You've got an amazing Google rating right now, hundreds of reviews. So that's your foundation. And like you said, when you want to pour some fuel on that fire, then go out and spend some ad dollars. But what I see a lot is that companies don't do any of that foundational work, and they just have this generic website, generic everything. They don't really put any effort or thought into it. And then they want to go out and spend some money and buy some leads or run some Facebook ads. But like, you can do that, but if you don't have that foundation, it's never going to work that well. So I love the way that you put that.
You're just going to spend a lot of money. You're going to waste a lot of money. It'll work, but when, that company has to spend $100,000 when I could spend $20,000. And that's the biggest difference, because you're just not going to get as much bang for your buck if you don't have the brand behind it. If some hamburger company all of a sudden starts out of nowhere, if we have Ben and Joe's cheeseburger joint, and we spend $1 million on ads, and McDonald's spends, $5,000 on ads, guess who's going to get more customers? McDonald's with their $5,000 ad budget still going to get more customers because they have a brand built. And that's what matters.
Yeah, I mean that's so true. We were at RoofCon a couple weeks ago, and that was we were on the marketing panel on stage, And that was something that someone else on the panel had said, like the better branding you do, the better brand you have, the cheaper your leads are going to be, the more bang for your buck you're going to get. Or if you want to go out and instead of spending 20 grand on ads, drop 100 grand on ads, well, you can go out and get 5 times as many customers as, that guy with no brand who's dropping 100 grand. And they're going to be higher quality leads and customers too, because they see you guys, they see your reviews, they see your content, they see you out there in the community, they see what you stand for, they see those core values and they align with that. So it's not only quantity, but it's those quality customers that you want, that they're not going to price shop you as much, they're not going to beat you up, they appreciate your value and they're willing to pay you for that, right?
Yeah, and the other thing is, so let's take like new company with no brand and they're spending 100 grand, and we take, let's say a company that's got a brand, they're spending 25 grand. Well, let's just say that they still had that $100,000 to spend. Well, that other 75,000 can go into an employee or 2 employees to be able to help you produce your own internal content, which then will even propel that brand even further if you can get somebody in-house doing your internal content.
Yeah, absolutely. Big believer in that, obviously, running a marketing training company. But quite honestly, we used to have a full service agency, and we used to do ads, run ads for clients and build websites and do all that stuff. And one of the reasons we transitioned into training is because of what you just said. It's so much more valuable for a roofing company, contracting company, any ice cream company, it doesn't matter. It's so much more valuable for any brand to be able to produce their own content and run their own marketing and show what they're doing and share their videos and client testimonial videos and things like that. That is so much more valuable than to be able to just put your credit card on file with some advertising agency and just generate a whole bunch of leads. So that's why we transitioned our business model. Because that is so important, and it seems like that's what you guys have done.
Yeah, and you guys are doing. Listen, I think you have done an amazing job at educating roofing owners and people in their marketing departments on how to do it themselves, and I applaud you for that, because that's something I'm not a really good teacher. I can't sit still long enough and be consistent enough to go over the same stuff over and over again. And you make it fun, man. And I love watching your content, even just like your regular Facebook posts that you just give out for free every day. I mean, it's an amazing resource that people have that they can just use right away. Just tune into the Joe Hughes Facebook channel and just watch away, man. So keep it up.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, social media, people knock social media. Listen, I love social media because it opens my world up into a bigger world. It helps me connect with like-minded people. People complain that there's nonsense out there, and sure, there's nonsense, but we have control over that. I have control over what's in my feed for the most part, right? Not 100%, but I have control over the content that I'm consuming. I can set my own boundaries on how much time I'm spending on social media. I have newsfeed eradicator. So when I open Facebook on my computer, I have no newsfeed. So those are things that, what's that?
I want that. I need that.
Yeah, dude. So on the Chrome browser, Facebook newsfeed eradicator.
I'm writing that down.
It's a what do they call them? Extension, free extension. And so I pull up Facebook on my computer, and I don't see the news feed. All I see is an inspirational quote, but then I can access Messenger, I can access groups, I can, go to where I want to go. So it's more proactive, and I'm not getting sucked into the feed, which,
the vortex.
We get stuck.
I call it
we get sucked into the vortex.
The vortex.
Right?
It's like a black hole.
Yeah. You mentioned pre-recording, some of the things you guys, and I was laughing at this because it's so simple. But that's all, that it doesn't have to be more complex than this. How you guys have built such a reputable brand in a short period of time. And a couple of things you said were show up on time and do what you say you're going to do. Right?
That's it, man. I mean, listen, that's half the battle. I mean, unfortunately, it's in this world that we live in. That's half the battle. I mean, that's half of the battle. The other quarter is being a good roofer. The other quarter is providing great customer service. I mean, it's 4 parts. And if you have great customer service and you show up on time, even if you fall short sometimes on the skill set, customers, they want to give you the benefit of the doubt. They'll work with you. They will give you a second chance to make things right. And that's all you need. That's how we learn. That's how we get better. It's as simple as that. I wish more people would just take it and run with it.
Yeah, seriously, don't overcomplicate it. This is roofing. This is, it's a few years behind the times. It's kind of unsophisticated. And I say that not as a knock. Like, I grew up in the construction industry too. And that's another reason why I started this business, because there's a big need for just kind of common sense business practices in this industry. So what are a few, can you detail like a couple of the ways that you guys provide, or that you guys, maybe core values or things that you guys embody that help you provide that amazing customer service?
Yeah, I mean, we have 4 core values here. Serve others. We're really committed to, not only our customers, but our employee relationships, our vendor relationships. Do the right thing. We talked about that. That's, when nobody's looking, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? Are you showing up on time? Do you have high integrity? Being enthusiastic, or you always have a smile on your face, even when you have a bad day, even when it starts raining, even when there's a problem on the job site, are you still smiling? Because that customer, we're on stage, and, no matter what happens in our personal life, or no matter how bad the job might be running, that customer doesn't need to know all that. That customer just needs to know that they're getting some great service with a smile. So being enthusiastic is one of ours. And then exceeding expectation, really paying attention to the details. Details matter. Ongoing training, self-improvement, all the little extra things that it takes to be really, really successful and kind of stand out above the competition, and just basically being better than yourself, better than what you were yesterday.
I love that. What are some of the personal development, I guess, strategies or practices really that you and the team focus on? Like, do you have a program where you have like monthly meetings, or do you like have books that you're reading together or anything like that?
Yeah, we have different groups do different things. Sometimes it's hard to get the whole company reading books. I actually just started reading books like maybe 3 years ago, when I was finally able to, I kept beating my head up against the wall, and I kept thinking, man, why is this isn't fun anymore? The business is getting hard. Like, I used to have fun. My first year was a blast. And I started looking for more knowledge, right? Researching things. And I found, a couple books. And one of the first books I found was the book Legacy. And it was about the New Zealand rugby team. And, there's 15 lessons in leadership. And one of them's, like we've talked about before, I know, Joe, is getting 1% better, every day. And, you don't have to, bite off the whole elephant in one chunk. It's small bites. It's get a little bit better every day. Because then, when you look back a year or two later, you've made significant gains. As far as the leadership team reads a little bit more books, we have a little bit more time to read books. Right now I'm reading the book called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team for the 3rd time. It's a book by Patrick Lencioni. The consistency of a team and the team cohesiveness is very underrated, I feel like, in business. I feel like you can't really measure it on a balance sheet or a profit and loss statement, because you can't really see it on a spreadsheet. So sometimes, if your business is run by, old school CEOs and CFOs and COOs, they're just looking for, numbers and dollars and cents, but they don't realize that the heart and the teamwork behind the people will get you more dollars and get you more profitability and get you better looking spreadsheets. And that's what we really focus on, not because of, that's just because of who I am. I've always wanted to be in a workplace where people are appreciated for what they do. There's always ongoing training and self-improvement. And, we get together every quarter to kind of review the quarter behind us, and then kind of set the forecast for the quarter in front of us. We actually just got done with our 4th quarter kickoff last week. And I'll be posting a video of the highlights on that. We did a team building session for about a couple hours of it, where we had some Lego sets, and we had 4 different teams, and they had a guy that had a copy of the finished Lego set behind a board where nobody else could see it, and he had to describe to the runner what they were trying to build, and then there was a guy building it, and it was all about teamwork and communication. And it was a 5-year-old simple little car Lego set. I mean, if we had the instructions and we were doing it in front of us, we'd build that thing in 4 minutes. But it took a half hour for them to do it like the way we did it. And we had a disc certified trainer come in. We do a lot of things with disc. where we kind of like measure the different strengths that people have and their communication styles. And we try to work together as a team because not everybody has the same type of personality. You know, I have a really strong high D and a high I. And sometimes my communication style doesn't go over well with people that have high S's and C's. And, you know, we're learning how to work with each other better because salespeople, project managers, salespeople, and office people, sometimes they don't collide well. And when tensions get high, the only people that lose are the customers. And then in turn, that affects your brand, right? And your reputation. And it's like the flywheel effect where like everything needs to be operating at a high level for maximum team cohesiveness.
I love that. I love that. That's so cool. And that's a part of your EOS operating system?
I mean, not really. We've been doing DISC even before I got into EOS because team communication was at the top. You know, I wasn't really good at training on it. I actually learned a lot myself from it. So the more I get involved in something, the more I'm able to learn and change my habits. The team can see that. And as I develop as a leader, they want to know more. Like, hey, how did Ben Fisher used to talk this way to me, and now he talks this way to me, right? And it does work. It doesn't happen overnight. I still am. I still got some stubbornness in me, and when I get mad, sometimes, I get really passionate. Because I'm really passionate about our team. I'm really passionate about what we're doing, and to somebody that's a different personality, I mean, that can come off the wrong way. And I read a book called Emotional Intelligence 2.0 that was really, really good for understanding how different people react to different things and different ways to communicate. And I've really felt it really make a difference here at the Big Fish Contracting Company. Cool.
I wrote that book down. I have not heard of it, but I'll check that out. And the other two books you mentioned, Legacy, someone gave that to me. I think it was my wife, and I wasn't expecting too much from it, although I played rugby for 12 years. That book was an amazing leadership book. Like I was expecting just, kind of an easy read, but it's awesome. Like I highlighted that book thoroughly.
Yeah. There's some cool YouTube clips too, because they did a little documentary on when the author was writing that book and promoting it. Go on YouTube and watch some of that stuff. They do the haka where they have all those guys get together and they start making these crazy sounds and intimidating the other team and they're all on the same page. And, these guys, they are not like American sports where these guys are cleaning their own locker room, right? These guys are making, millions of dollars over there, and they're cleaning their own locker room. Imagine if Tom Brady and Michael Jordan were cleaning up the locker room. It doesn't happen here in America, but it also, you can see why, we have a lot of prima donnas in American sports, and there's no team like the New Zealand all black rugby team. They're 87% winning percentage, I think.
Yeah, all time is insane.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, that was honestly, it's funny you mentioned that. Out of the whole book, those 15 lessons, that one, sweep the sheds.
Sweep the sheds, baby.
I guess that stuck with me the most. Like as an owner, as the best player in the team, you stay behind, you sweep up after yourself, and you don't, it's just what you do. You don't complain about it, right?
I was in the warehouse this morning helping a guy load a truck. Didn't even really think nothing of it, man. There's 80-pound rolls of rolled roofing material that I was trying to help him load up, and he's kind of got a bum knee anyway. And I'm like, and I was like, ouch, this hurts. I always thought I was going to pull a muscle or something, but hey, got it done, man. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So that's cool that you guys are working through, I don't want to say challenges, but you're always looking to level up and proactively being self-aware and wanting to communicate more effectively and build that team. As you've grown the last 6 years, obviously you've had a lot of success. What were some of the challenges that you faced, maybe unexpected in growing Big Fish?
When I first started, we hired an employee here, hired an employee there. They're like your friends, right? You're in battle with these guys every day. I got really close to some of them, and then as I would try to level up, sometimes they wouldn't level up with me, and then tough decisions had to be made. They'd either move on from the company because they didn't like the direction we were heading, because maybe it was going to get a little harder, or we had to raise prices a little bit to be able to pay for, a more better experience. And they're like, oh, I can't, I'm afraid to do that. And and they just don't come with you. And that's the hardest part, is when, you think highly of these, I'm so optimistic and so passionate about people's growth potential. And when they're not on the same page and when they're not coming with you, it gets really hard. And I got personally a little down in the dumps when that happens, and I get a little emotional about it. And I've learned though over the last 6 years that it's just part of life, and it's part of, and again, we can take the same thing in our personal life, right? We've all had friends, we all had friends in high school, right? That aren't our friends today. We had friends when we were 18. They're not the same friends when we're 40, because we keep leveling up. Our circle gets tighter. We want to be surrounded with people that are doing great things. And unfortunately, some people don't make the cut. And that's just, I'm still trying to get my head around that, because I'm a little bit stubborn, because I'm still trying to take people with me. And I probably will never give up. That's probably why, it makes me who I am. But that was one of the biggest challenges, I would say.
All right. That makes sense for sure. Yeah. We all have heard that in various forms, that you're the product of the 5 people that you hang out with most. So that's super important, but definitely difficult to kind of put into practice. You mentioned another one of the challenges is letting go of the vine. What does that mean?
So, as the guy that founded the company in, that first year, I literally did everything. I sold the job. I came up with the logo. I marketed the company. I managed the project. I did the invoicing. I collected the money. I asked for the review, every single thing, right? Took the material back to the supplier. I mean, everything. And except for actually do the roof, I actually had some cool roof crews that were really helpful. So I didn't have to pound the nails, but everything else I had to do. And, when you have someone in your organization and you got to trust them, right? And then you got to be able to let go of some duties and make sure that, because you can't be in 2 places at once. And sometimes, that's what I call letting go of the vine. I think Gino Wickman in the book Traction, I think taught me that. He said, that's the hardest thing a CEO or a founder has to do, is as they delegate and elevate, just let go of it and hope and that your leadership and that your training paid off, and that they can actually do the job. And sometimes that's hard, it's my little baby, or it was my little baby. Now it's a lot bigger than that. But sometimes it's hard to let go. But that's the growing pain that you have to get through as an owner and as a founder to get to the next level.
Yeah, I've experienced that too. And I found that once you start letting go, then you realize that you weren't the best person for that job. Rarely were you. Like, I let go of sales a couple of years ago. And I think as owners, founders, we have this thing like, all right, well, I'm Ben Fisher, Big Fish Contracting. Of course, the prospects want to talk to me. It's the owner, right? The head honcho. And I kind of, whether it's conscious or subconscious, like it's ego, right? We think that people want to be dealing with us. But then we brought on our first two sales reps. I realized that Dan and Alex are much better at sales than I am. And not just in terms of like making a sale, but in terms of like guiding the prospect into what solution is best for them, whether it's them working with us or not, right? Uncovering those objections, maybe applying a little bit of pressure where, they feel comfortable, where they see that need, get prospects out of their comfort zone, things like that. They're much better at that. So I think that's kind of an epiphany that I had. And as I delegate more and more, as our team kind of grows, I see that. And like you said at the beginning, you realize what you're not good at, you realize what you're passionate about, and you just kind of work toward that, right?
Well, I agree with that. And you're probably hard on yourself. You're probably good at it. The problem is you had other duties, right? You're marketing your company. You're doing probably your invoicing and your finances and your books, and you're doing the shows on Facebook, and like you're doing so many different things. So it's hard for you to devote 100% of your attention to the client process when you have all these other duties. So I always think if you can get locked into a zone where you can do the good thing and be consistent and repeat it, those people, regardless of skill, are going to be better because they have more time to devote towards that specific trade, which in your case was sales. And, I think you could probably be a good salesperson if that's all you did all day.
Yeah, that's a great point. Our sales guys are, they're reviewing their phone calls and their role playing and things like that. Whereas an owner, you're wearing so many hats, you just don't have time, or you can't make time to do everything.
It's a capacity issue.
Such a great point. Yeah. Such a great point. You've been in that 6 years. You built such a solid brand. You seem like you're pretty relaxed. You're working on what you want to work on. I think a lot of people might be, I don't want to say enviable, but people might be looking at you and saying like, man, I need to get to that point. I need to get like out of working in my business all the time. What do you think holds most people back from delegating and elevating?
Uncertainty. They don't know what it looks like. They don't know what it feels like. They're afraid of letting go of the vine. They are afraid of the unknown. I've never been a workaholic just to be a workaholic. I work because I'm passionate about it, because I'm excited. But you have to schedule time for your family. You have to schedule time for vacation. You have to schedule time for growth. And if you don't make it a priority, you'll get swallowed up into the vortex, and you'll look back, after 5, 10, 15, 30 years, and you're like, why am I not? It's because you just never took the time to make it happen. It's no different than working out, being on a diet, any of the other things that you want to get done. You have to make it a priority. And if you don't, you'll just keep doing the same thing over and over again. And if you're talented, you'll probably be all right. You'll make a little bit of money, but and if you're smart, mixed with the talent, you'll probably do okay, and you'll look good to your friends, but you're doing the same thing at day one as you were, at day 1,000. And that's not really progression. That's just, what you were born with. So the only way to actually get better than the way God given you ability to is to learn and get knowledge and schedule and prioritize. And I haven't been the best at it, I'll admit. It's just, I have such a passion because I don't want to be 60 years old doing the same exact thing I was when I was 40 or 30 or 20, because I've seen all the people, that are 60 years old getting ready to retire from the same job they've had and working the same hours and getting small incremental raises. And if that's what they like, that's great. I'm just not interested in that. I want to do bigger and better things. I want to have more free time. I want to be able to control my own schedule. I want to be able to do what I want when I want to do it because I want to do it. And the only way to do that is get some systems, processes, let go of some things, and just keep getting knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely, Benny. We've been focusing a little bit more, I guess, this quarter on priority management training for our clients. And I call it priority management, not time management, because I don't believe that you manage time, you manage your priorities with the time that you're given. And that's a big thing for a lot of roofing company owners, especially who come into our training program, or they're thinking about it. It's like, I don't have the time to do this marketing thing. I'm busy. But our goal is to help them find those just 6 hours a week. You have 6 hours a week where you can prioritize building your brand and marketing, then we'll help you do it. And so we have like one of the first things that we're going to have available moving forward in the next iteration of our training platform is like priority management. Like, here's how to schedule your week. Here's how to schedule your day. Here's how to make sure that you're working on those big rocks and not letting all the minutia overtake your day. And that's really where it starts, whether it's like focusing on marketing or like whatever it is you want to do or get out of in your business. Like, it all starts in your calendar, in my opinion.
Yep, I totally agree. Your high priority stuff, you have to figure out, how much time you're spending, stuff that's urgent versus planning. I think there's a thing in the Stephen Covey book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where he talks about the 4 quadrants. And if you really take time, see, most guys don't take time to sit down and actually even think about what they're doing because they keep just getting punched in the face. And they don't really have a plan. And if you just take like even just 3 or 4 hours on a Sunday night and just sit down and look at your week ahead, look at the month ahead, and really start to get focused, on what you're doing, and you use a calendar. I always listen. I have my set meetings that I have to be at, right? I have to be at our leadership meeting. I'm optional on our sales and marketing and our operations meeting. So but I usually attend because, we're growing and I want to be able to help out. So those are 3 meetings every Monday that I know I have to attend. I have a one-on-one with my executive assistant once a week for an hour. I have a one-on-one with my integrator for an hour once a week. Those are non-negotiables. They have to be done, because if they don't get done, and if I have an excuse as, we were busy and I had to go help out somewhere else, 6 weeks, 6 months go by and you're going to be like wondering why the company's starting to fall apart. And it's because you're not doing those high priority things that need to be done on a cadence, right? So you take those things and then you see where all your holes are at in your schedule. And then you're able to plug in the things that you need to do that week, that month. And, half of them are going to be planning for the future. If you're at a high level, and some of it, for some of you guys that are still working in your business, it might still be like, hey, I got to do 2 sales calls. I got to go manage 2 projects. That's okay. You put those in around the stuff that you have to do, and you just keep making it work. And eventually, once your calendar gets filled up, now it's time to realize, okay, is there anything that what can I delegate eventually down the road, so I'm not meeting with the customers on a regular basis, or I'm not doing the bookkeeping work on a regular basis. And then that's how you delegate and elevate. So then you do have more holes on your schedule to do the higher level things that you want to do to be successful. And, that way when you're 60, 70 years old, you look back and you're not doing the same things you were when you were 40 and 50.
Yeah, for sure. That's gold, man. Thank you so much for sharing. I think that brings it down to a really tactical level on how someone like you, a visionary, operates in their calendar. And that's huge. Those non-negotiables, and they're not negotiable. So don't make excuses of why you can't make that meeting or why you got to reschedule something. Like, commit to that. I was working with one of our clients this morning, solo kind of guy looking to hire his first people and build a team and whatnot. And my question to him was like the what would it take, WWIT, right? What would it take for, in 3 months from now for me to not be doing any sales, or for me to not be on a roof for a whole week or a whole month, or whatever that looks like for your business, right? So what would it take? Paint that picture. Okay. It's going to take me hiring a sales guy or a sales rep, or me finding a crew, or whatever else it is in your business, and plan for that. The planning is so key. It's not just going to happen overnight, right?
It doesn't happen overnight. 1% better. You got to get 1% better every day.
Awesome. I love that. The compound effect. All right, Benny. Well, thanks for sharing a lot of those nuggets and for opening up. What do you see? So you're working on marketing now, which is awesome. You kind of got back into your the cockpit of marketing where you want to be. What is next for Big Fish? What's your next challenge? What are you guys up to? What are you building? Where are you going?
You've actually you're one of the people that have inspired me to do my own podcast. So I'm actually going to start my own podcast. It's one of those things where it's like, I'm worried that I don't have all the stuff set up right, or I'm not going to be a good interviewer because I've never done it before. I think this is only like the 3rd or 4th show I've actually been a guest on. And it's something I've always wanted to do, but just like everybody else, we all got fears, right? Like, am I going to say the wrong thing? Am I going to do this? Am I going to is it going to work? Are people going to like it? No matter how successful anybody thinks you are, we all have our own fears. We all have our own challenges. And I got the studio. I'm in the studio now. I got all the equipment. I got everything ready. I just have to start lining up some guests and just start doing it, right? I think that's probably the best way to just get into it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to do a show a week for the next year and see how that goes. And I think through those conversations, and I think through some idea sharing, with other people that are fascinating, I think that'll maybe open up some other things. I'm going to kind of see if the company can kind of run itself with, our new integrator. Rob's been doing a really good job here, and we just want to see what a full year looks like under the new integrator without Ben Fisher having to press every button. And I'm still going to, I'm still within arm's reach. The main office is only right around the corner, and I'm here if they need me. And I'm going to work on recruiting, hiring some more people. Maybe a second location. I'm thinking about opening up a location in Canton, Ohio, where I'm from. And those are the big things that I'll probably be working on. As long as some more self-improvement and some leadership, man. I need to level my game up. I just got into business 6 years ago. I've never done it before. I've never been in charge of people before until I started my own company. I'm not really the best manager. I think I'm more of a leader, but I still need to work on some of my leadership skills as well to be able to take a bigger organization with me.
Yeah, maybe that's why we get along. I think I'm I love leading, and I think I'm getting better at it all the time as I work on it. I don't love managing, and I don't think I'm the greatest at it. I don't have a lot of experience with it, so that's interesting. But there's definitely a difference there.
Yeah, you hire that person. You find out somebody that's got that skill set, that really likes working in the day-to-day, those consistent routine meetings, that are checking boxes and coaching and training, and then being able to report to you, so that way you have a good pulse of what's going on in your business. And then you can do the things that you like, which, it sounds like, you really love talking to people about building brands and reputation and Facebook ads and you're the face of the company. And it's really exciting to watch, and you just keep, and it'll change. Listen, 2 years from now, something else will come up. You'll like something else different. You'll delegate and elevate, and hopefully, that's what's fun. That's what's fun about being in business, and that's what's fun about, not putting yourself, in a box and being able to open up and, pivot. You mentioned that you pivoted from, doing full blown marketing for companies to like really just targeting in on, brand and Facebook ads and teaching others and training companies on how to do it. And I think that's great that you're able to pivot. And who knows, if Facebook gets shut down, you're going to start teaching somebody how to do TikTok ads, and you might already start doing it. I don't know.
Yeah, we do. Most people don't know that we do have a full training platform, Google Ads, YouTube, and all that good stuff. So
there you go.
But Facebook ads is kind of the entry point, because it's what people know. It's where you're going to have the most traction, the fastest, and we kind of get people in there, get them into the marketing mindset, into the rhythm of doing marketing. And then we can dive into some other things. But yeah, I definitely don't want to be platform dependent. You don't want to depend on any one platform for sure. That's why things like podcasting and having a YouTube channel and all those different things are so important for a brand. You're not relying on just one stream of eyeballs or, leads or whatever it might be. All right. I want to be respectful of your time. I appreciate you sharing. We're going to get into a little bit of a lightning round, some fun questions to kind of wrap things up. But before we do, anything else that we didn't cover that you feel that you need to or you want to cover as far as your journey and what you built, what you're building?
No, I feel like we covered a lot. If you need more information, it's not rocket science, right? Show up on time, do what you say you're going to do, and keep learning and evolving. And do your own journey, and because it's not what works for me doesn't work for you, Joe, and what works for you, Joe, doesn't work for Joe Smo, and it's like just do your own thing and be proud of what you do and challenge yourself. The biggest thing is I don't have any competitors. I have myself to compete with, and I'm really competitive too. And that's one of the things that drives me. But it's really just competing with myself. And I see a lot of people, they're worried about what everybody else is doing. And when you're worried about that, you're taking the eye off the prize, and you're taking the eye off of what's going to really, truly make you happy and get you excited to come to work every day.
Yeah. And I think it's easy to I don't get wrapped up in what other people are doing, but I think it can be easy to do that if you don't have a vision of what you're building and where you're going. It's easy to get, if you don't have your roadmap, it's easy to like veer off the exit here and go off the exit here and try all these different things. But having that vision, knowing where you're going, that's gonna keep you on track for sure.
Yeah, that was one of the greatest things when I read that book, Rocket Fuel and Traction. They really talk about that visionary integrator, and then how to create a 10-year vision and a 3-year plan and a 1-year 1-year goals, and then 90-day rocks. And when they break it all down, man, it's like, wow, it's like before, like everything was just kind of like out in the universe. And, you could easily talk yourself into pivoting quickly, when you had a feeling or an emotion. Well, that's dangerous, right? Because, we all know guys that are out there doing their own business, and, one day they're doing plumbing, and the next day they're doing roofing because they had a bad job one time, and all of a sudden they're giving up. And if you have a good plan and you have a long enough term vision, you can kind of work it backwards, and then you always kind of feel like you're staying in the rails, and then if you put good people around you in a good system, we call that rocket fuel, baby.
Yeah, I love those books. Traction is great. Traction's like the reference manual. Rocket Fuel for me was more of a fire within me. I read it just earlier this year. Huge. I love that. So great advice, Benny. I appreciate it. So let's jump into a lightning round, have some fun, finish things off. You ready to get a little personal here?
Let's go, baby.
All right. So I'm glad that you're wearing one right now.
Just for you.
I don't know if I've ever seen you without one. Why do you wear those Psycho Bunny t-shirts?
And, the best outfit that I'd ever have would be like a Ralph Lauren polo t-shirt, you know what I mean? You spend a little extra, couple bucks, that was grandpa's shirt, right? And, and then, the horsey with the thing. And then I don't know if I was in Vegas or Florida, and I saw someone with a Psycho Bunny shirt, and I'm like, that feels like my personality, man, because I'm a little bit, I'm wild and crazy and fun. And I'm like, you know what? And nobody in Pittsburgh wears it. I've never seen one other person in Pittsburgh because it's more of a West Coast, East Coast, Florida, Vegas, LA type of brand. Pittsburgh's going to be, it'll be 10 years from now, and then we'll start getting them here in Pittsburgh. But I just like it. I just like to be different. I like people asking about it. I love the fact that you asked about it, and just kind of represents my personality, something that's fun and exciting. And it's really good quality cotton too. It's a Pima cotton. It feels good. It looks good. I used to be into the big graphics, but now as I've matured, I've went with just the little graphic, and now it's inspired me to, my fish with the heart. It's going to be like my Big Fish Cares brand. My contracting brand has the hammer, and I want to make my own V-neck, nice Pima cotton with the yellow fish with the heart. And I think I'm, just going to try to promote that and get that out there so that way people can be inspired to be positive and optimistic and fun.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Love that story. All right. Favorite hobby right now?
Right now, I am into NFTs. Not sure if anybody knows what that means, but that's a whole other podcast.
All right. Well, NFTs. All right. So go follow Benny on Facebook or Gary V on Instagram, and you'll learn about NFTs, right?
Yeah. Non-fungible tokens. They're kind of a spin-off of cryptocurrency. It's where you can have, it's like a digital blockchain code tied to something that's unique. So like Bitcoin and US dollars are what they call fungible, right? It's, one Bitcoin's worth the same. If I have a Bitcoin, if you have a Bitcoin, $1 bills, it's the same amount of money. Well, a piece of art, let's say take the Mona Lisa, that's one of a kind, right? Now you can make copies of it, but everybody knows they're copies. There's only one Mona Lisa, and it's in France at the Louvre or whatever that museum's called. And Leonardo da Vinci, who made the Mona Lisa, if they had NFTs, could have put a serial number to that painting and make it a digital art piece. And then, you would only know that was the real one, right? Because it's coded, you can't even make a copy of it because of the crypto chain block currency. I think not only can you do it with digital art, you can then do it with digital music. Music, it's going to be a huge thing where artists can make a song and then they can release it. And then they can make limited editions and create collectible value based on that. If you think about concert tickets and sporting event tickets, we might all have a ticket to the Super Bowl, but, some people are in VIP, some people are in the upper deck, some people are, everything's got a row and a seat. So those are all could be non-fungible. And then you have the collectability of the art piece behind it, but then you also have the access to be able to get into the event. And it goes on and on and on, and you can get into some rabbit trails, and it's really fascinating, but I really do think that it's the way of the future. We're still 10 to 20 years out of, regular people using these in regular day situations, but it's coming faster than you think, and it's pretty fun and exciting.
Wow, that's awesome. 10 to 20 years ahead of the times. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Give Benny some credit when you invest in NFTs and make it big.
Be careful, though. Do your own research because it's very volatile right now. So do your own research, invest in projects that you really care about, and only invest money that you can afford to lose. There's my disclaimer.
All right. There's your standard disclaimer. All right. Current book you're reading, you mentioned
I'm reading 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. It's a book by Patrick Lencioni, who's wrote a lot of cool team books about executive teams, leadership teams. He is a great author. He tells stories in a fable manner, so like it's always a fiction story, but they all could be real life stories. So when you're reading this book, you basically just change out the names with people on your team, and then you can really start to understand the principles that he's talking about. I've read 4 Obsessions of an Extraordinary Executive. He's got a book called something about silos, and a lot of it's just about leadership, team building, and they've really helped me out. And they're always short reads, they're like 3-4 hour audiobooks. There's some cool graphics and some good content that you can learn and kind of just build upon as you try to build a really good team.
All right, cool. I actually have that book on my bookshelf. I haven't read it, so I'll put that in the queue.
You'll love it. I mean, it's great, and you should have your whole team read it. You should have your whole team read it. You know, I'm on my third time reading it because I'm really trying to understand it at a deeper level. I usually have to reread a book 2 or 3 times because of my ADHD to really like understand the concepts to where like I could talk about it just like I almost wrote it. And usually by my 3rd or 4th time, I'm pretty good at it. So,
yeah, cool. I got to talk about that for a second. So sometimes like with books I really, really love and that have like such great content and lessons, I'll actually make a Google Doc and I'll take all the highlighted. I still read mostly like hardcover or paperbacks. I do have a Kindle for here and there. I'll read a book on the Kindle, but I like to have the bookshelf so I can go reference books, pull them out, read my highlights. But sometimes I'll make a Google Doc and I'll just I'll type out all my highlights. And there's a book called Selling the Invisible, which if you haven't read it, I recommend it. Marketing book from, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years ago. But I went through my notes from Selling the Invisible. Now I read the book about 12 years ago, but I went through my notes yesterday and I pulled out so many nuggets that I was able to use in one of our trainings for our clients, and made some social media content out of it as well. And, you know, you read a book at one stage in your business or life and it resonates one way, and you'll read it several years later and different things will resonate in a different way because you have different life experiences, right? So absolutely. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, that happened to me with Traction. I read Traction like 3 or 4 years ago, and I'm like, this book's not for me. I don't even understand it. Like, because I was a one-man leadership team, and then once I had like other people, once I had a sales manager and an ops manager and like people running marketing and finance, it's like now it was starting to make sense. And then it was just like, you know, then you read Rocket Fuel, and it's like, boop. Like just total explosion in your brain. It's unbelievable.
It's so true. Yeah. All right. Next travel destination.
I am going to Palm Beach in November to unleash the power with Tony Robbins. I'm really excited about it. I've never been to a Tony Robbins live event, and you know, I follow him a little bit on YouTube, and you know, I have a couple of his books, but never really read them all the way through. But I always get caught watching his YouTube stuff, and I'm thinking like, man, the guy he's got that smooth voice, and then he also can get loud and fired up. And I know he's one of the most magnificent people on the planet Earth. And I'm almost kind of afraid to go because I know it's probably going to change my life, and I know I'm going to have to do something more about it and level up even more. And so I'm scared of that commitment because I know what's going to happen to me. So I think that's another reason why I was always kind of waiting to like find the right time in my career and in my life to kind of like go to something like that. But I'm really excited about going to that. So that's happening in middle of November sometime.
Oh, that's awesome. Palm Beach in November sounds good. Now, did I hear that this was maybe his last one that he's doing, or?
I hope not. I don't think so. I think it's just the only live event they had this year. I know that because of COVID.
Oh, maybe that's it. Yeah,
because of COVID. Okay. They didn't do any events last year, obviously. And this is the first live event since COVID for him. And so, yeah, I think it's sold out. I had some buddies ask me if they could go, and they said that the tickets were sold out. So I bought my tickets like 4 or 5 months ago. And yeah, I'm pumped, man. It's going to be a life changer. They get deep and personal, and they break into small groups, and yeah, I'm excited. I'm cautiously excited.
Yeah, I hear you. I've never been to one either, but that's all. I'm excited for you.
There's a cool Netflix documentary that he kind of goes behind the scenes on one of his events. So it's a good 2-hour watch.
Is that I'm Not Your Guru?
I'm Not Your Guru, yeah.
I don't think I watched it, but I know about it, so I should check that out. All right, cool. Speaking of checking people out, where can people check you out? They want to learn more. They want to follow you. They want to get some more inspiration. They want to follow your new podcast. Where can they find you, Benny?
The best way right now, because, you know, I'm kind of old school. I just turned 40. I still use Facebook, you know, pretty regularly. I'm trying to get hip to Instagram. You know, I'm getting better at posting stories on Instagram and then feed into my Facebooks. That way I don't have to do it twice. But Facebook, it's Benny Fisher. Try to private message me, try to friend request me. If we have a couple friends in common, that's always easier for me to hit confirm. If not, just try to get a hold of me through Joe or something like that, because I'm always cautious about accepting too big of strangers, because I'm really protective of my circle.
All right, awesome. I hear you. I've on LinkedIn, when you request to connect with someone, you can add a little note there.
Yeah, LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. I don't use it as much, but you can definitely get a hold of me. I'll get the messages. I'm just not on there every day. But Instagram, it's bigfish.benny. Twitter is @FisherBenny. I kind of fired my Twitter account back up. I used to be big into Twitter back in the day, like 10 years ago. And now I just got back into that because of NFTs, because everyone in the cryptocurrency NFT world's on there. I'm also in the Discord under Big Fish. So yeah, there's all kinds of places. And you can always shoot me an email, ben@thebigfishco.com, and I'll definitely get back to you there.
All right. Awesome, brother. I had fun. Hope you did too.
Heck yeah, man.
I appreciate your time. I'm sure the audience will get a lot of value out of this one. Maybe one of those where you pause it, you take some notes, you re-listen to it. Lots of great nuggets in here from a visionary who has built a pretty remarkable organization in just 6 years, a roofing company that many would aspire to build. So I'm honored to have him join us. So thanks a lot, brother. I appreciate it.
Thanks. It was a lot of fun, Joe.